What's up, investors? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. The other day I covered ARKX on this channel, okay? And I wanted to talk to you about ARKX now that it is trading live right now. I don't think it's available on every platform. I haven't seen it on Robinhood yet, but I have it over here on WeBull. It's right around $20 per share. But some of you guys are confused by some of the holdings in ARKX right now. Initially, I had some of those same perplexed feelings until we talked about it over on the Discord extensively, okay? So I want to talk to you guys about ARKX, why I think that the holdings are where they're at right now. We're going to cover some of those holdings. Hey, Netflix is in there, maybe because of the show Lost in Space. I don't know. But there are some others in there that are like, okay, why is this in a Space ETF? And then we're going to cover some of ARKX's competitors because there are other Space ETFs out there as well. So I want to go over some of these with you. And then by the end of the video, I want you to give me your opinion on whether you think this is a good buy at $20 per share or not. And if you think that some of your favorite space stocks or space SPACs or space companies in general are going to be in the ARKX ETF eventually. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So ARKX launched today. It's live, ready to go, ready to trade here on March 30th. Okay, the ARKX Space Exploration and Innovation ETF, or ARKX. The investment objective is a long-term growth of capital. ARKX is an actively managed exchange-traded fund, or ETF, that will invest under normal circumstances primarily at least 80% of its assets in domestic and foreign equities securities of companies that are engaged in the fund's investment theme of space exploration and innovation. Now, if you watched my previous video, you know that the SEC filing for ARKX, okay, was pretty freaking broad. It essentially allowed them to invest in whatever they want to invest in this fund. And when they released the list of what is in the holdings, a lot of people were confused. Like, what's Trimble? Why is the 3D printing ETF the second largest holding? Why is Netflix in there, and Amazon, and John Deere, and Google, and on and on and on? A lot of people were kind of confused by the holdings, and a lot of people were upset that some of their favorite space SPACs like SFTW or VACQ or NSH or on and on and on are omitted from this particular list. Now, what I think is actually going on with this particular list right now, these holdings right now, are actually, it's all money from ARK Invest themselves. No one before today, right, has put any money into this ETF, okay? So they don't have a ton of money to go out and say, oh, hey, let's buy billions of dollars worth of whatever, right? So you can see based on the market value here, this is probably in the millions of dollars, right? We're not in the billions of dollars for market cap yet. In fact, some of these holdings are probably less than some of your portfolios, okay, out there. I know a lot of you are rich watching this channel. Only rich people watch Richard. No, I'm just kidding. I hope that's not the case. That would make me very uncomfortable. But some of these are $30,000, right? $40,000, $60,000 worth of Netflix, okay? 51,000, sorry, worth of Netflix. So there's 100 shares in here of Netflix. Is that anything to be concerned about? Probably not. I think what's really happening in here, a lot of these names in here that you may think don't belong in a Space ETF may be just them putting them in there as somewhat of a cash position. Kind of keep that in mind, okay? So like Netflix, for instance. Unless, in the case of Netflix, this is, maybe they're investing in the 4th season of Lost in Space. I don't know. Maybe. Could be. It's a good show. But that's probably not the case. It's probably one of those stocks that's relatively stable right now, if not beaten down, and they're using this as a cash position to load up and have it look like they have more than they do in there. So that's something to keep in mind. That could be the case for Amazon as well. Now, John Deere, for instance, Deere & Co., okay? They talked about agriculture being a big potential part, right, of beneficiaries of aerospace. Agriculture right here. A lot of new agricultural equipment are really dependent on GPS and satellites. So then it sort of makes sense, right? But here are the 4 main focuses that they're focusing on. Orbital aerospace companies are companies that launch, make, service, or operate platforms in the orbital space, including satellites and launch vehicles. Suborbital aerospace companies are companies that launch, make, service, or operate platforms in the suborbital space. They do not reach a velocity needed to remain in orbit around the planet. They invest in companies that enable technology companies. These are companies that develop technologies used by space exploration, related companies for successful value-add aerospace operations. These operations include artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, materials, and energy storage. Aerospace beneficiary companies are companies like we just talked about, like the agriculture space, whose operations stand to benefit from aerospace activities, including agriculture, internet access, global positioning system, construction, imaging, drones, air taxis, and electric aviation vehicles. Again, this is really, really, really broad and kind of, in a way, a little bit vague. So they can put anything in this ETF and still have it be, you know, Netflix, for instance, right? That's a company that needs internet access. People need internet access to watch Netflix, right? So maybe that's why Netflix is in there. Maybe Netflix will stay in there. I don't know. Maybe they won't. Tomorrow, we will start to get net asset value and market price available after the first day of trading. So right now is your opportunity to potentially get in on the ground floor before this space SPAC really, really blows up. Again, trading at $20.23 a share. Already 12.3 million shares traded today. That's pretty freaking cool. Now it's staying pretty flat, obviously, all day today. The volume was really, really high this morning, and then it died off. Some people, for some reason, were already selling to make a little bit of profit. I don't know what was going on this morning, but I want to talk about some of the other competitors as well. One brilliant ticker symbol is UFO. The other is ROKT, or rocket, essentially, right? But these are the other 2 options for space ETFs. Rocket has really, really, really low volume. Today, for instance, the volume is only 6.57 thousand shares. So 6,500 shares. Very, very small. They have $22 million under management. So not a big ETF. This is a spider ETF. But not a major ETF at all. UFO, on the other hand, is a little bit bigger. They have $140 million under management. Much higher volume, 75,000 shares traded today, for instance. But I would expect ARKX to be the leader. They may already be the leader after today. It sounds like they're going to have a ton of money under management over the next couple days. So 12.3 million times 20 is what? I mean, we're already talking 240 million. So they're already double the UFO ETF here, almost, right? After the first day. So I no doubt in my mind that ARKX is going to be the leader in this space. Now, I'm holding SFTW and NSH right now in my short-term portfolio because I was hoping that ARKX was going to be a catalyst for those 2. Again, if you look at this list, SFTW, that's not in here at all. NSH is another space SPAC. That's not in here at all. Rocket Labs isn't in here. Holicity isn't in here. There's like so many space SPACs that are omitted from this, okay? Now, that isn't necessarily a concern yet. Initially, it was for a lot of people, but over the next few weeks, couple months, things like that, once ARKX has a foothold and has people actually dumping money into this ETF, how an ETF works, people put money into it, and then ARK goes out and buys companies to fill up this ETF, okay? Until they have money to buy other companies with, they can't do that, right? So after, starting tomorrow, they're going to have a few $100 million to play around with and not just the few $1 million that they're playing around with right now. So just keep that in mind, okay? The goal here, right now, they have 38 positions? Yeah, 38 positions in there right now. The goal is to have up to 55 positions like their other ETFs do as well. So hold out hope that if you are holding some of these space SPACs, that they will be in the ARKX portfolio down the road. I wouldn't lose hope just yet. But what do you think? Do you think it's a bargain right now at $20? Do you think that Netflix is going to be in there forever, and Amazon and some of the other ones that don't seem to belong? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinion. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for another video. I appreciate you. If you want to have some of the sort of discussion that we have over on the Discord, consider joining the Patreon. There's a link down below. I would love to have you over there. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me for another video. I'm Richard Allan. If you didn't already do it, hit that beautiful red subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.